Welcome to Coffee and Gumbo, where we talk about all things hot, spicy, and flavorful.
Hello, Coffee and Gumbo
Up,
fam.
B and Jim fam, what's going on?
Welcome back. Welcome back. We are on to another topic here. I am excited about this one, as I am about all of them, but I'm really excited about this one because tonight we're going to talk about how to create the life that you deserve.
Oh, I know. I definitely need to listen to this one.
That's a big topic. As I was thinking about this one, I kept thinking about every year, we do our
We do those
boards.
boards and
We
stuff.
have, all the stuff. Me and you have done them together where we talk about where we want to
Yeah.
travel, where we want to,
Where we want to go, what we
want to
what
do
our
in life.
Yeah.
And so many years, I would have to say, made progress, but I can't say that on quite a few of them have I conquered them. Completed. You have the visions, you have the I want to do it, but the connection of just getting it done can sometimes be what's daunting,
Yes.
And so I know a lot of our family out there, our Coffee and Gumbo family, can relate to that. So we wanted to tackle this subject. And as usual, we wanted to bring someone who can help us break the topic down and give us some principles that we can use to be successful.
Yes.
So tonight's guest, again, is someone very near and dear to me. And I chose her for this because I feel like she is a great example of someone who has fully taken her life by the bulls and horns and has decided to create the life that she deserves for herself, for her family. She is my younger sister, so I'm so proud of her. And I can't wait for her to share with each of you kind of some of the things that she has done in her life that have helped her to create that life she deserved. So we are going to bring her in. And this is Miss Brandi Jordan. Brandi, welcome
Hi.
to Gumbo.
Thank you for having me.
We are so excited. Your big sister gave you a very good welcome.
Yay.
You didn't get a chance to hear, but just know that
I'll hear it later.
Yes, I was the Coffee and Gumbo family that, one of the things that I experience is, every year creating that vision board of what I want to accomplish and the things I want to do. And not everything always quite gets done, the best intentions, but I want to hear from you as to how you have created the life you deserve. You have been very intentional about creating the things that mean of importance to you and how you want life to look. And I know that our Coffee and Gumbo fam can benefit from some of your tips. So I would love for you to spend a few minutes and just tell the family a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive right on in.
Well, I am Brandi Jordan, and I am Catrice's much younger sister. And she's like, that is not what we asked you to talk about.
That is so nice to speak about, but I'm gonna let you have that one because it is true. Only 9 years, and I look
only 9 years. But anyway, I think that for me, like, I'm very clear about what feels good and what doesn't. And so I'm always creating out of, I want to do this with work. I want to hang out with these people. I want to be married to this person or not to this person. And I think that prioritizing for me what's important to me and what feels good, I've been able to say no to a lot of things that weren't supposed to be on my path. And so I think for a lot of people, we have a lot of shoulds. People do the things they think they should do and it ends up taking you away from what really is your purpose and the impact you could be having. I think a lot of people may be disconnected from it because they've been doing what they should do for so long. And I think that I've kind of thrown caution to the wind a lot of times where I probably should have been doing something, but it's really led me to do things that I love my work. I don't get tired of it. I still like my husband. Like
I like
but
him too.
yes, but even in those things, I think that people make a lot of compromises because they think that they're supposed to be a certain way, or they think that things should happen in a certain timeline. And I think it keeps a lot of people from doing things that they're really meant to do. Like, I'm too old, or, how many women are just like, oh, I'm too this, I need to lose 10 pounds, or I can start dating, or whatever the case may be. And it really, time is now. Like, life is so short. And I don't even know if you know this, Treese, but I mean, you kind of know why I got divorced from my first husband. But, I had gone, so Daryl, our cousin, lost his wife. And me and her were the same age. We had the same degree. We had our first kids exactly 2 weeks apart, and I didn't go to the funeral. And I told Daryl, look, Mother's Day is going to be 2 months from now. It's going to be your first Mother's Day. And at this point, he had a 3-year-old and 1-year-old, and my son was 3 as well. And I was like, by that time, the casserole is going to be run out. People are not going to be thinking about you. Why not come for that time frame? Because it's going to be really difficult being without your wife that first Mother's Day. So I went, and me and Curtis kind of look alike. So Journey kept calling me mom the whole time. She thought I was her. Like, she was like, mama, like looking around. I was like, oh my goodness. But at any rate, in that moment, being there with him and the kids, just having this, like, life is so short. We were 32 at the time, I think. And when I came back from Chicago to LA, I drove directly to the courthouse and filled out my, they had like a clinic where you could go and they would show you how to fill out to file for a divorce. Wow. And I literally went straight from the airport to I remember the address, 111 North Hill Street in LA. And they were like, you can come back multiple times. But I was like, no, I'm getting it all done now. Completed the whole thing with the clinic. The lawyers helped me fill the thing. I called my girlfriend because you couldn't serve. You're not allowed to serve the person yourself. You have to have someone to do it. It could be a friend or whatever. And literally that happened because I was like, this could be tomorrow. You don't know how long life is going to be. And this is not what I desire for myself or my child. And it was the best thing that happened because 6 months later, I actually found my current husband. And it's been, that would have never happened hadn't I had the bravery to leave something that I knew wasn't right. And I think particularly for Black women, I was thinking like, oh, I don't want to be a single Black mom. Like, that's just, like, we have those stereotypes, but it was more important for me to be happy for myself than worry about the stereotypes. And I say that story because I think a lot of people have things like that they know they're supposed to walk away from, whether it's a job, a person, a friend, and they don't because they're afraid of what's happening on the other side. And I found that usually something really amazing is on the other side.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
I know that story. I am learning something new.
See, something new.
Sister tonight.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, one of the questions I was going to ask is, how did this topic become so near and dear to you? But I think that's kind of what you discussed.
That too.
But what else, what really, because I mean, I've watched you, it's like, I don't want to say it was overnight, but I kind of saw like a light switch kind of happen to where
that glow up.
That too, where you just became so laser focused on these are the things that I am going to do, accomplish, and this is the way I want my life to look, So, what was that switch other than, kind of what you said about seeing how life is short and, deciding to make changes?
A couple things. I feel like I've seen so many times where doing something that felt scary and maybe reckless to other people ended up being really amazing for me. So I really believe in taking those leaps because they've usually worked out to be something really amazing. So I think just seeing that time and time again. And then sometimes I think that we don't realize how much is already just waiting for us to grab it, that it's already set up. So the other funny thing, so for people who don't know, my husband is French and my oldest son went to a French school in Los Angeles. And the funny thing about that is me and my ex-husband picked that school for him.
Wow.
So it's like, reminds me, there's so many things, like I didn't know that I was preparing for a life where I would live half time in the States and half time in France. But it's like these little things that I was drawn to. I was like, he really needs to go to this school. Like, I didn't speak French. My ex-husband didn't speak French. We were both from Houston, but we decided together that's school for him. And who would have known that now, 13 years later, my son obviously speaks fluent French. My current husband happens to be French, and we spend, a big bulk of our time in France. But, life was already setting up for me the life that I didn't even know that was going to happen 16 years later. And I think that sometimes we don't move towards those things that, like, why am I doing this? Because everybody's like, why aren't you doing Spanish immersion? What you doing French for?
Yeah,
that was a lot of people said that.
So I was
off when I was like, what? I was like, I don't know. I'm drawn to it. I think he's supposed to be there. And I just went with that feeling.
Right.
And I think sometimes, like, we second guess that, or we let other people talk us out of things. And it ended up being such an integral thing that I'm glad that I did, because it ended up really serving him and us. So I think just seeing that play out so many times, that, like, so many things that we think are setbacks. Who was that? Someone said it's not a setback, it's a setup. Like, you're getting set up for the thing that you're really supposed to have. And so just seeing that time and time again is maybe really passionate about people really following, even if it doesn't make sense to other people, following. Right. There's usually something for you that you might not even understand why you need to have this or why you need to meet this person, but there's something that's going to help you with something future in your life. And so I think that has made me passionate about it, but just also just seeing, like, the joy in it. What I've been able to either manifest for myself or help other people do, just by being in alignment with knowing who you are and what you need and what you want.
So what advice would you have for people that don't actually know what life they want, and but they know that they're not happy in the current situation, but they don't know which way to go, or have no clue of what they want? How do they figure out, okay, what do I do? Do I stay here? Do I move, take this leap and move on, to this side, or what do I do?
I think a lot of people think that they have to know what the thing is. And it's really just do something. If it lasts for 2 weeks, if it lasts for 2 months, 2 years, it doesn't matter. Like, it might take you a couple times to, like, play around and try this, like, oh, that was good, but that ain't really it. I think people are waiting for the thing, and it really is that you just need to play the field and figure out, like, I did that for a little while, now I'm doing this. Just move towards things that bring you joy, that make you feel happy, excited. And it may not be a forever thing, but in that moment, the closer you get to feeling that often, it attracts the right things to you. And I think when you're in a place where you're at a job that you hate, it's really hard to attract abundance and opportunities when you are just sitting in, like, I hate this job all day. And so I tell people, even if it means, like, for me, like, I like to go salsa dance. Like, I'm not going to be a professional, but just doing that one night a week keeps me closer to, like, who I am and what I like, what I enjoy. And I think that helps you to keep that creativity and just alive of knowing what you want to do next. But you don't have to know what the actual thing is. Just do things that make you happy and bring you joy.
Yeah, because you never know what you like unless you try different things, or you never know what you're good at if you don't try something different. If you just stay in a job you don't like and don't move around, like, I don't know if I'll like salsa dancing if I don't try it, or I don't know if I'll like, or what are my talents if I don't try different things.
Yeah, I think people just have to not be afraid to play around, and it don't have to be a forever thing. Obviously don't blow up your life, but yeah, you can go get another job. And if that job, the worst, I always tell people, a decision is not a life sentence. You can always decide to quit the job and get a new job. If you're good at what you do, you can go back to the old job. Like, people, there's so many options that you have, but just don't sit around waiting to get this epiphany of what the thing is, because it doesn't really happen like that, in my experience anyway.
So I don't know. I think a lot of times when I think about creating the life that I deserve, one of the first things I go tell myself is, how are you going to finance this life that you think you deserve? And I think maybe we get caught up in, it can't happen until we reach a certain point, or a certain, and I think what you just said kind of, that resonated, that, it doesn't have to, it can be something small. It can be something that little things you can do to build upon that. So, but for people who want a big life, but they don't have the big finances, are there any other suggestions you might give them to start somewhere? I know you said start small, but what other tidbits of advice do you have?
People are going to hate this answer, but it's a truth. They're not going to like the answer, but the truth is go make more money. And I know that sounds simple and hard, and people think like, oh, it ain't that easy. A lot of times it is. A lot of times you have a lot of gifts and strength that you sitting on because you're afraid or you don't want to talk about it. You want people to think that you always trying to sell something, whatever the case may be. A lot of people have so many skills, they could be making a lot more money, but they're comfortable in safety. And so, the other thing is that people talk about like, oh, I can't do it because the finances. The truth is that most people, particularly Americans, have a lot of access to things. We don't prioritize. So like, for example, we travel a lot and people are like, oh, I wish I could travel. And it's like, no, you don't. It's just not your priority. And that's fine. You have three cars and it's two of y'all. It's just not your priority. And that's fine. You know what I mean? Like we were a 1-car family in LA, which in LA, no one has 1 car. Everybody has 2 cars. But for us, my priority was like, I'd rather not have a $600 extra car note. That's a vacation to me. And it doesn't mean one is right or wrong. Like if you like 4 cars, that's fine. But a lot of people think that they don't have the finances to do it. And it really is. It's just not your priority. And so you have to be truthful with yourself. Is it that I can't do it, or have I not made this a priority? When it comes to most people truly just aren't making enough money. And that's true. Like, if you try to make ends meet, you can barely, do your rent, and it's hard to do that. Like that makes sense. But there are so many moves that people can do. People selling purses out the back of their cars. People are driving Uber. I have a friend who makes $10,000 a month driving Uber.
Wow.
So they're so, you know what I mean? You can, but like they're working all the time. It's like, there are ways to do it if that's your priority and you've decided. A lot of people haven't decided to have the big life. They want it, but they haven't decided.
They're comfortable where they are.
Right.
They're comfortable. And so I tell people like, yeah, there are times I'd be like, Treese, I'm gonna need your help with this payroll, girl. Can you help me? I'm going on a limb, but my sister, like having to reach out to my sister to help me. I've done that to be able to then like, okay, now I have the resources. I can treat 3 times that, and thinking in my head, okay, when I hit this level, I'm taking all the family here. We getting like, I have this mindset, but it sometimes means that you have to step on a limb, and it's not always easy.
Yeah. So I want to speak like for, as I think when we had my mom on, she talked about that, she's got almost like 3 sets of kids. She's got, as you call us, the old ones. Thank you for that. And then we have the young ones. And, we were taught to get a good job, bring home a good paycheck. Your stepping deserve, creating the life you deserve was having a 401k, and then maybe one day you could retire, and get your Social Security check. And I'm just gonna speak personally. I'm gonna blame it on being a Virgo, but I like that paycheck every 2 weeks.
Yes,
like clockwork. And I am literally, the older I have gotten, I'm really fighting against all of those pre-taught thoughts, of this is the way, this is what success looks like. So I would love for you to maybe speak to people like myself who we want that big life, we want that life we deserve, but I do believe it is a little bit of fear of the unknown and stepping out there, give it to us straight. What do we do? How do we make that first?
Well, first, everybody's not supposed to be an entrepreneur. That's one. And so I don't think that that's the answer to everything, because there's a lot of broke entrepreneurs. Most businesses fail within 2 years. So that's not necessarily the answer to everyone's problem. But a lot of people, even in the corporate setting, you're not asking for the money that you deserve. You're not putting your name first when it's time to like move up that corporate ladder. You're not speaking up in those meetings and putting your ideas first. And when somebody else is using your ideas, calling them out and saying, hey, that was my idea. And so you can, there's some of my friends who are making $500,000 working in a corporation because they're doing that climb. And so I don't think to have the big life, you have to be an entrepreneur. But whether you want the paycheck or you work for yourself, there's going to be a piece of standing out on a limb and really showing up for yourself and asking for what you want, even in the corporate environment. And so I think for my clients that work 9 to 5s and like the 9 to 5, I'm usually working with them to actually put themselves forward for projects that's going to make them stand out, to ask for the money that a lot of non-melanated, non-female people are asking for, whether or not they have the qualifications to get that thing. They don't have that same like, oh, am I ready? Do I need to wait 2 more years? They don't feel that need, and we do. And like you said, a lot of that is because of how we've been socialized. I think particularly for Black Americans, we also have this idea that we got to work twice as hard to get da-da-da-da. I don't believe that. So if mediocre Mary can go make all this money, then I know that I can do it with what my qualities and my qualifications are. You know what I mean? And so I think that a lot of us, particularly Black women, have to kind of decolonize some of these ideas that we got to be working ourselves to the bone before we can ask for anything, because these people, a lot of people who have half of the qualifications, degrees, Black women are the most degreed people in the United States. As of right now, we have the most degrees. We are opening the most businesses, but the average woman-owned business is making about $50,000 a year. Whereas say like a white male is probably doing more like 200,000 to 500,000. And so a lot of that is not because we're less qualified. We're not asking for what we should be paid for, because a lot of that we believe, who's going to pay us that? They're going to think it's too expensive. And I always, say, don't count other people's coins. Your idea about money is not other people's idea about money, but if you don't believe it, they're not going to pay. And so I think I would just tell people, regardless if you want a paycheck or you want to be an entrepreneur, what are you doing to kind of push yourself forward so you can start moving up if it is the fact that you do need more money?
Right. Okay. So that kind of leads into, I think you've touched on it, like what is the mindset that you really have to go on this journey of creating that life? What characteristics do we need to start honing, start making those become more comfortable with in order to be successful?
I think mostly, and I'm assuming you probably have a listenership that's, male and female, but I can only speak as a woman entrepreneur. I think for a lot of the women that I work with, perfectionism is something that people have to scrap. As an entrepreneur, I fail a lot. I fail a lot, and it's humbling, but at the same time, I learn a lot and I have succeeded more than I failed. And basically success in entrepreneurship is just, failing until you don't. So I think that you have to be willing to do that.
Yeah. Failure is always been something we try to avoid,
Yeah.
But
I want to fail fast. That's why I tell people I want to fail fast. Let me get these failures out so I can get to that $1 million idea, that $10 million idea, that $100 million thing. But a lot of times I need to have these experiences so that I know how to handle those situations later. So I'm happy to fail with 50,000. I don't want to fail with the 5 million. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of thinking about a lot of the things that I have experienced were failures. Now, 5 years later, I know how to run my business better because I experienced this thing 5 years ago. Right. Like I tell everyone, the past 2 years, the biggest thing for me has been creating a team, which was 10 times more difficult. Like I know how I work and what I need. It's when you start to manage other people, for me, has been the most difficult thing as an entrepreneur. And I probably, we as a company probably wasted $75,000 on bad hires, which is a lot of money. $75,000 is a lot of money. But I tell you now, I definitely know who's the right fit and not, and I don't need to spend $50,000 figuring that out. And that's important. As the company grows, I need to understand how to get people on the team that really make sense for the culture, the work ethic, et cetera. But I had to fail at it a couple of times to understand what I needed and how I could be a better boss.
And a lot of people that I know are not even conditioned from young to even know how to deal with failures or know how to deal with when adversity comes. What do I do? Which keeps them in that comfort zone because they've never been taught how to deal with anything else. So let me just stay with what I'm familiar with, and because I don't know what to do whenever stuff happens or something hits me in the face. So how do they figure out, like, how can I get past this? How can I get past what I've been conditioned all my life?
You got to get around the right people and into the right rooms. Like I say, I want to be in space where people are experiencing something different than what I am. So this funny story. So I was trying to get to a point where we could do $100,000 in a month, like as a company. And so I was in this like mastermind group, and like, to me, that's a lot of money to do it. And, you know, in my mindset, that's a lot of money in 1 month. People don't make that in a year. And so I was in there, like, you had to go around and say what your vision, what you're trying to work towards. And so I did, you know, I'm trying to get to 100. And like, that was like, oh my God, that's so whatever. So the girl next to me was like, yeah, you know, I'm trying to make 750. And so I was like, oh, should I make 750 a year? That's amazing. Da, da, da. And I realized she was talking about per month. So I was like, the conversation kept going. And I was like, wait, oh, she's talking about per month. Let me sit down with my little 100,000 I was talking about. But I was like, so where's she at now? If this is where she's trying to go, she was making like $550 a month.
Wow.
And so, but the thing is, that wasn't even on my radar that it's even possible at that point. I was just like, nobody makes that in a month. What are you talking about? But and if you're not in those spaces, if you in a space where everybody talking about they broke and they ain't got no money and how they gonna do, you're not gonna be able to think bigger until you, like, it's hard to become what you don't see. And so for me, it's important that the people that I'm around, they don't have to make more money than me, but they have to have that open mind of like, we can create more, we can do more, but also being around people who have gone farther than where you are. So if you're in a space, you're trying to figure out the next step, find communities and people who are where you want to be, so you can actually see what's possible. And so for me to sit and this Black woman telling me that this one making 550, this one making $1 million a month, like, and you start to listen, they don't sound that much smarter than me. You know what I mean? Like, I can do this too. And I think a lot of the fear that people have is that people know so much. The one thing I've learned about being in these rooms, like rooms with people who like they're worth 300 million, they figuring it out day by day, just like we are. You think they have it so figured out and it's so arrived. They're hiring people who know more than them. They're figuring it out. They're failing. They're doing the same thing, just at obviously a much higher level. But it's not like you get to a certain point and you just know what's going on and you have it. And I think that's a lot of us are afraid that we're going to be in the room and be the like dumb person in the room. And really, it's not the case. Like, everyone is literally figuring it out just like we are.
I think that's a huge point about getting around people who emulate or are where you're trying to be. I think we spend a lot of time trying to bring the group we're in to where we're trying to go, and that may not always be possible. And
a lot of them ain't gonna be able to make it on this journey with you. And that's the hard part.
Let's talk about
you don't want to feel like you leaving people behind. But I'm not going to be dragging you by the toes when I'm barely climbing myself up there. You know what I mean? And it's hard because you don't want to feel like, especially again, I have to say for Black people, we have this sense of collective, like we want to see everybody come up. We want to help the community, but not everybody wants to be helped. You know, like I would help people. They got to want to help themselves too.
That's a word.
And so, you know what I mean? And so I've seen that, like I have in my business tried to really help some people who look like me, but they weren't ready for it. They don't want it. I don't know. And I've learned that like you can't help people more than they want to help themselves. And so I think that sometimes you have to know that as you climb, you know, it's going to be not everybody coming up there with you. And that's okay, you know. And I think that a lot of us have to let go of that responsibility. But also it's your responsibility not to be sharing all your hopes and dreams with the people who are going to be telling you, girl, my friend did that last week and she lost all her money. Oh yeah, and that other, she lost her house. You have to know who to share your stuff with or not. And if you do it once and you get that feedback, it's on you if you keep sharing this stuff with people when you're yourself trying to get your own, you know, faith and take them leaps. You can't be around people who are second guessing when you already second guessing yourself.
Yeah, that just reminds me, we have a series we've been doing on, and I couldn't decide whether to bring you here for this topic or to bring you for all the different things you've done to, you know, rise up. But we were talking about sometimes you have to keep what you got going on to yourself. You can't always share everybody with everybody, because it's important, you know, what you're taking in when you're trying to birth something. You know, you need to, as you say, kind of maybe keep it a little close to the vest until you're, you know, ready to share it. Or as you also talked about, be in the room with people who are going to understand and push you higher, you know.
Yeah. I had a mentor once that would say, you know, you can borrow my belief until you have it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you may not believe you can do it, but I believe in you, and you can borrow mine. You can borrow my belief until you have it for yourself. Because sometimes people can see something in us that we don't see in ourselves.
Absolutely. And
so when you're in those rooms, you get to borrow on those people until you really believe. Because I was like, if people are really going to pay that to go on a retreat, yeah, they ain't going to pay that. They may be paying that to her, and we have our own preconceived notions about like, because that person is blonde or because they skinny or because they whatever, you think that is going to give them an extra advantage, and it really isn't. Your people are your people. A lot of it is just we're not showing up and sharing with our people what we have, and so they're not coming to get it from us. But and then we got to say that you can borrow belief.
We gotta have that confidence too.
That's true.
Yeah, but it takes the confidence is from failing and coming back. Like, I'm still here. I didn't die. I didn't go to prison. Like, like when you see that over and over again, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? So I tell myself, what is the worst thing that could happen when I try this? And usually it's like my ego might be bruised. Like, that's going to be usually the most thing. Like, I'm not doing anything that's life or death. It's really my ego, my whatever. But what's the thing that could happen if I succeed?
Yeah, like, I once heard somebody say, like, you have women that, and it's, kind of like talking about the relationships, like you have women that say they want a rich man, but are they putting themselves in the position to even be around these kind of people?
Exactly.
Are you even going to the places where you can meet a rich man? You can sit down and say, I want to meet a rich man all day long. But if you always hanging out at McDonald's, do you honestly think you're going to meet a rich man? So it's kind of like you have to put yourself in the situation, in the places you want to be in.
Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, like, are you hanging out at Foot Locker or are you hanging out at the yacht club?
Right.
Not to say that the rich man ain't at Foot Locker, but he probably gonna more so be at the yacht club. Yeah. But again, it's like you have to have a plan. And if you don't know how to get to that plan, be around people who do. And there's what I found is so many people want to help you that you don't realize.
Yes.
Like, some people have helped me in my career for no reason. They don't know me, or they do know me, like my sister or someone. And you're like, people do want to see you succeed. I know people talk about haters and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure those people exist, but I have found that more people want to help me than hate me. And so I think that people focus on either the negative people or the one person who said something about you on your post, and now you don't post anymore because one person has something negative to say. But 100 people before that said something positive, and we don't focus on that. And I think that the fear, back to what you were asking, Trish, I think a lot of people, the mindset has to be that it's not done until it's done. If your goal is to have X, then you keep moving regardless of what happens until you get that thing accomplished.
Yeah.
And if you are stopped, then it wasn't that important.
And I know this subject is one of the reasons I really want to have this discussion is for the younger people, because I feel like I am just getting these lessons. I got them in my 40s and now my 50s. And if I had gotten this lesson in my 20s, I probably wouldn't be seeing me here tonight. I would land on.
But it might be on the TV.
Exactly, it'd be,
and it still can be,
but it'd be a whole nother level. So
it still will be.
Really want our younger coffee and gumbo people to really soak this up, because there's, it's never too late, because I want everybody to get it, because I'm getting it. I'm trying to step out and, like you say, take the risk, put yourself out there. So it's never too late. But I also want to make sure that some of our younger people catch this lesson now, because there is so much you can do with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of the young people have decolonized from this idea that productivity equals their worth, which is what we learned. Go put your hours in, go work at this company. I don't think a lot of the young people have that idea, which is good. I think they understand that, that there's things that they can do that aren't related to like how many hours they put in at the office. Like, I think they get that. I think what I see for young people, like the ones that I either mentor or that I see coming through, is that for a lot of them, there is a lot of opportunity. They're gonna have to figure out, like, you can be good at a lot of things, but what are you great at?
Right.
And so I think when so many things are out there, you can be working online, you could do this, you can work remote, that they're kind of like running all over the place. And that's what I think I did a lot of the times, because I like so many things. And I do think that when you're good, when you are a pretty capable person, you can be good at a lot of things. And so I think it's, to me, one of the worst things is being good at a lot of things, because you can be really comfortable doing things that come pretty easy to you. And so you don't really have to push yourself, like maybe someone else who doesn't have those same skill sets, or doesn't have the degree, or doesn't have the whatever. And so I think for our young people, it's really thinking about what is the thing how do they really want to make impact? What's the purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And learning how to discern that, and really focusing on the things that are going to really make the most impact in their professional life or their personal life, as opposed to kind of just doing things they're good at, or that they've, got the degree in or whatever, getting really focused on what do you want the world to say about you and what you've done while you were here. And they have the opportunity with years on their side to be able to really do that.
That's good. That's good. I want to ask you, because, you're married with a family. So for our married couples, what has been your recipe for you and your husband? And because, for me, it's just me. I can make that decision and I can go for it. But when you are a part of a couple, you got to kind of do this as a team. What do you don't?
Yes, you do.
Face kind of said something there. But
no, it's funny because I know what you're saying. A friend, I literally just had a coffee with a friend. She had the same thing. She had some ideas about things she wants to do. She's asked me, what do you do when you don't have a partner that's willing to take risk, or they aren't as open to like manifesting things and like that kind of thing? And my answer to her was, I personally don't understand why couples think that they need to have the same dream. We're different people. We have different things, and I think that people have this idea of couples that is supposed to be like, we're both working towards, like as a family, obviously there are things that we co-want for our children and for our house, but I don't need to enroll Michael into my dream, do I share it with him because he's, my friend and my husband? Yes, but I'm not looking for his approval. I'm not looking for him to co-sign what I think is going to be my purpose. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make. And some of that is the way that we're socialized, that, when you are a couple, you become one and but usually in that someone loses when you become one. And typically it ends up being the person who is in the female body that tends to lose when you have this like melding of people. And so, I was asking her, why is it that he needs to be the co-signer? If it's your dream, how does he really know what it's supposed to look like or what the vision is? And so when you're talking about not sharing everything with everybody, the point is, if you have like you might have a dream killer and that might be your spouse. And so for some of y'all, you might need to keep your ideas from your spouse until you really get it up and going, because some people need to see before so they can believe. Doesn't mean you're hiding things from your spouse or what I'm saying is, when you're in that shaky part of like, I'm trying to like believe in myself, I can't share this with somebody who's going to be talking me out of it and telling me what a bad idea it is. You might need to go do it for a while and get that traction going. And then that partner is a little bit, maybe less risk, is more risk averse, might be like, okay, well, this is actually working. And so I think with couples, I think differently. I think me and my husband are obviously a very progressive couple, in that we don't feel like we have to have the same dreams, do the same thing. One of the best things I think that we ever did when we got married is that we each take a trip by ourselves in the year. And I think that's been really important. Like, he goes where he wants to go read his books and look at his boring documentaries that I don't want to see. And I can go to Paris and go into 1,000 perfume shops and look at a whole bunch of stuff that he doesn't want to do. But it keeps us connected to what's important for us and not what's important for the couple. And I think a lot of people lose themselves in that, and they're not really sure anymore what's about them and what's about the couple. You are allowed to have your own separate dreams. So yes, I do think we work as a team, but I don't need his approval about what I think is going to be my own purpose in life. And I hope that he doesn't need it from me either.
That's good.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's
Like
important.
you say,
That's
a lot of people, couples I know of, it's like it has to either be tied together or
like it may work for them. Like I said, if it works for you, do that. But that doesn't work for me. So, I see for a lot of people that I work with, it doesn't work for them either. And there's obviously a lot of gender roles that we think that we're supposed to, fulfill within a marriage. But I think people need to do what they're good at. And so I think that we definitely do that in our household. It's not based on gender. It's like, what are you better at than me? And like, let's do that in the house. And at the same time, like, what is your dream? How can I support you? How you can support me in my dream?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
I
that.
don't
think
like, sometimes I don't get it, what his is, because it's not for me. And I'm like,
Right.
that don't sound right, but okay.
Yeah. And I've seen it to where people have they have that dream, but well, I'm not gonna do it because my husband he doesn't want me to do it.
Right.
That
Or
happens all the time.
yeah, and then there you go. Their whole dream is just gone, and they don't understand that, like you said, their dream is not it's not gonna make sense to their husband because that is
Not
your
their
dream.
dream.
I mean, that's your vision.
Mhm.
And if God put the vision in you, he's not gonna see it because it's not his vision.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we have to put a disclaimer because I did something like that, talk about this, like this is maybe 2 years ago. The lady must be, I just want to let you know I left my husband. Girl, I ain't tell you to leave your husband now.
Yes, we are not.
can you pay your bills? Like, let's talk about
right.
this. Calm down. Let's do this in stages.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, but I think that a lot of people, but also I think that some people use that as an excuse not to be able. My husband said, no, you just don't want to do it, and you using him as a scapegoat. Same thing with moms and children. I know y'all don't want to hear it, but a lot of people with small kids or whatever size kids would be like, oh, I can't because of my kids. And we put that on them kids. There's a lot of people doing stuff with kids. You know what I mean? But a lot of us will use that. Oh, I can't do it because them kids are doing their own thing. They're not worried about you. They're in school from 8 to 3, a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And people will say, I can't do it because I'm a mom or I have kids. And honestly, I think for a lot of us, it just feels safe and it's a way to hide.
Yeah.
I do that. I mean, just when that's something I don't want to do, if I don't want to go, say, my kids doing something more, put it up on the kids. So I know that can be one of the good excuses.
Yeah. Or for me, I'm seeing it myself. I can be real busy, but not very productive, about getting the things, that I need to get done. And so that's one of the things that I'm focused on is I'm always busy, but like you say, whatever what you feel is most important is what you're gonna put that time.
Yeah. One of the things that I think has helped me and I think helps my clients is I tell them, if you're saying this thing is a priority, it should be between 1 and 3 on your to-do list. So don't tell me you're a writer, but you don't write until after you take the kids to school and you didn't clean the whole house and you didn't went grocery shopping and you didn't did all this, and you're not really a writer because you're not making that a priority in your day. And so whatever you're saying is your priority, like I'm a writer, I'm a this, I'm a that should be happening. Like the first couple of things you do during the day should be those things.
Right.
And I think for a lot of us, we put it at the end and wonder why we're not getting any traction because you're putting it at the end of the list. It's not really your priority.
Because TikTok is at the top.
Or how about like, I don't have no time. I can tell you, I didn't watch about 3 shows that have like 5,000 seasons in the past 4 months, but yet I don't have no time.
Yeah.
So it's like, it wasn't my priority to get that thing done. I have to tell myself the truth because sometimes procrastination is a good assessment tool. You're procrastinating because that thing maybe not really be for you, or, you don't really care that much about it. And it can have you focus on things that is important to you because the things that are important to you, you are going to do whatever it takes to do that thing.
That's
yes.
True.
You will find a way to make some.
You'll find a way.
Yep, I believe that.
Well, sister, I could talk to you all night, but
yes,
I do want to see if there's like a good parting thought that you want to leave with our audience to kind of wrap things up. And I would love to hear or have you share, some of the things that you're doing now. I can't keep up. Every time I turn around, you off somewhere doing something, but what are some of your passion projects that you're working on? Inspire some people into movement. So
yeah, I think the one parting thing I would say first is just to ask yourself a question. A lot of times I think that people are afraid to say they really want something, so they say it's not because they think it's not possible. And so could they just take some time to dream about the things they want without worrying about the how? Like my husband always says, the how is none of your business. You just need to be focused on what is that thing you want. And many people aren't picking a thing simply because they don't think it's possible.
Right.
So what would it look like just to dream and say, I want to have this thing without any thought about how it can happen? How is it possible? How am I going to pay for it? I don't know nobody who do that. Just have that thing. Sometimes just saying it out loud, putting it into the universe, God, whatever you believe in. A lot of times things will happen for you that will make it possible that there's no way you could actually dream up or plan. And so that's one thing I would say. And when I've done that, it's been so useful to me in my life. And so I would say that's what I would tell for everyone, to really get connected to what you want. If you can cut out worrying about the how and just focus on what you want, not focus on possibility, finances, just this is what I want to create. This is what I want to do. A lot of times the world will get organized to give you what you want if you can put it out there and say what it is that you want. But for me, a lot of my work is helping people do this. And so I do international retreats. We just got back from one in the south of France, where people actually come to be able to have deeper time working on what their dreams are, planning what they want to do for their business, having a bigger vision for what they can do, be, and create in the world. And so we have ones coming up in Mexico, in Paris, in Tuscany. And so a lot of my work, not just the retreats, whether it's one-to-one coaching or having people come to workshops, is really focused on that. We have a 2-day event that's happening next year in New Orleans, doing exactly the same thing, just getting people excited about their own dreams. Yes. And that one's going to be a fun one. That's March. Don't quote me on the dates, but I think it's March 18th through 20th. It's like a Thursday, Friday, the week before Good Friday. So, yeah. And in those events, I always say it's like an inspiration rising event, being in a space where everybody has a big vision. Everybody is thinking about what's possible for them, being encouraged, being around people who want to see you succeed. You can sometimes come out of that being like, you know what, I can do that. You know, I never thought about it this way. Like, why am I limiting myself? Why am I saying X, Y, and Z? And people who have come to that have left that and been able to create things that they didn't think was possible just because they had a chance to sit in, you know, borrow some belief for a little bit, like I was talking about. And so that's kind of what I do. You know, I kind of got started in this working basically with parents and babies. And, you know, people would probably say I was like a celebrity kind of parent expert. And so I have a lot of high profile clients. That's kind of how I started to build my brand of working in spaces where people generally wouldn't necessarily see people like us. And doing that over and over again, I've been able to show other entrepreneurs how they can build their own personal brands. And so I do a lot of things related to that. People can find me on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Brandi with an I _Jordan_official. If you're looking for more inspirational coaching stuff, I'm at thebrandijordan. Jordan. And, you know, I'm usually hanging out on the interwebs and splitting time between the States and France. And so hopefully I connect with people. And that's kind of what I'm up to. You know, lots of other products. I do have a podcast that's focused for parents. I just finished a book proposal that my agent will be shopping next month. So that's my projects.
That's my sister.
That is awesome. We will be in New Orleans next year, and I'm gonna bring my book because I got a whole book of ideas, don't I?
Yes, please. Yeah. I will give you all the dates. I'll make sure y'all have the dates.
Make sure that the entire Coffee and Gumbo family has your information.
Yes, please do.
Yes.
Please do.
And thank you for blessing us tonight. She's one of my biggest cheerleaders. She pushes me out of my comfort zone all the time. Everybody should have a couple of younger sisters when you're older, because they will just, they will make you come out of those thoughts and really make you try to go to a different level. So I'm blessed, and I'm so happy that I could again share her with our Coffee and Gumbo family. And I want to have you back. There's so many different subjects that you could speak on. I would love to have you come back and maybe share some tips and tricks with some of our parents. She has a wonderful company called the Cradle Company. She's known as the baby whisperer in many circles, as well as, you know, she says she's a life coach. She coaches, so many things that she can speak on. But I felt like this was a topic you could really help people with. And as usual, you hit it on the nail.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, I just
Yeah.
see so many people doing so many amazing things. And, you know, I'm usually humbled by people. I'm like, some people don't realize how many gifts they have. And I think it's not often that you have people genuinely just say, you're amazing, like, go do this.
Yeah.
And I think if you can put yourself in those spaces, it'll just help you get that, you know, confidence. And having spaces like this, like Coffee and Gumbo, where people can get inspired is amazing. So thank you all for having this space and having me on.
Thank you so much, Brandi. We really appreciate you. I really, really thank you for dropping all these great nuggets. And I'm definitely going to take some use to these.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. Thank you, sister.
We appreciate you.
Again, for everybody, this is Brandi Jordan. She will have her information in the comments for everyone on how to reach her. And we're going to let you go and close this great episode out. I'm inspired. I think I'm going to get my notebook back out and start just putting some things that I want to back on paper. Because again, that's a good starting point. Like you say, put it out there. Put it into the universe.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, do it. It works.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much,
Brandi.
Bye.
All right. Oh, I hope this really inspires some people to
I do too. I do too. Get
journey.
up out that comfort zone and just, you know, kind of like she said, just figure out the life that you want.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, you know, for some of us, it's not this huge, grand, expensive.
Right. It doesn't have to be something that's going to cost a lot of money. It doesn't have to be just living the lavish lifestyle like that, as long as you're happy and figure out how to do the things that make you happy.
Yeah. Because a lot of us are getting up and we're going to our jobs and we are dragging ourselves along, and
so miserable.
We have to find out what our purposes are.
Dang, I don't want to go to work today.
Yeah.
Dang, you know, you find yourself saying that all the time. Like that's you know, life is too short. Life is too short.
And get around people that will encourage. We need to encourage each other more. So I'm gonna start tonight. Everybody in the sound of my voice, you are amazing, and you can do whatever you set your mind to do. So
you can do it. You can do it.
Stacey, you're amazing.
Catrice, you are amazing. You are awesome.
On that note, we are going to let you guys go. Thank you again for joining us on the Coffee and Gumbo channel. As we always say, take a little bit of time to take care of yourself. Stacey?
Yep, love on yourself and love on us as well.
All right, yes, we got to take care of each other. We got to keep lifting each other up. So
there you go.
We are out of here.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching Coffee and Gumbo. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Come back soon for more hot, spicy, and flavorful conversation.